Hi everyone, it's Rob here for Shape Your Future Online, and welcome to episode 2, I think it is, of my Shape Your Mindset series, where today I'm going to talk about overcoming fears and self-limiting beliefs. So let's get to this. So let's start off by talking about, what fear really is itself. And does it really serve us in this modern age? Well, when you've got a fear of something, and I'm going to give a particular example to go along, with this video. When we think about fear, think about something, maybe something that you've got to do, or something that you've done in the past that you are fearful about, or you were fearful about. Close your eyes, sit and try and feel that. Where is that for you? Is it in the solar plexus here? I know that is for some people. For me, it's more a tightness on my chest, particularly kind of over this side. I really do feel that. What is that? What is that sensation, that feeling? What is it? Where does it really come from? Well, when we were way back, as hunter-gatherers, this fear, this real fear, that served a real purpose for us. And that purpose really was that fight or flight response. So, if you were out hunting for food, foraging around, you want to be a little bit on edge. You want to have a bit of adrenaline running through the body to be alert in case a wild animal pops out and tries to, bite your face off. Or, even better still, you're sat in your cave and you're thinking about going out, but you're thinking, well, I know what's out there. Maybe I'll just stay in the cave here. I'll keep myself safe. That fear will serve me well. It will keep me in here, and it will stop me from essentially dying. Unless you do actually need to go out and get some food before you starve to death. But so that fear, that served a purpose once upon a time. But living, in modern day life, for most of us, that kind of imminent danger, that isn't always there, is it? And again, in modern life, maybe that kind of fear, that feeling will serve us, if, in a big city situation, someone tries to attack you, or someone breaks into your house in the middle of the night. Again, that fear and that feeling, that's, it's real, it's going to serve a certain purpose, or if you're in some sort of emergency situation. But just for everyday kind of stuff where, you're worried about something that you've got to do at work, maybe you've got to do a presentation. For me, it used to be speaking here on camera and putting things out on YouTube. That for me was a big fear, and there was a real feeling there across my chest. I don't want to do it because I'm going to be judged. What are people going to think of me, and things like this. But I actually want to do it. My soul, my heart wants to do it, yet my mind is creating these thoughts and creating these feelings and creating a fear and, objectifying this self-talk that I've got with myself into something and placing a barrier in front of myself and not serving me, stopping me from doing the thing that I actually want to do. So fear is just really, in a lot of situations, completely irrational and not helping us to become the people that we want to become. And, for me, as someone who's, for this past year, stopped the nonsense of corporate world and the 9-to-5 jobs, or, well, we say 9 to 5, it's 12, 14 hours a day, isn't it, usually, to become an online entrepreneur. I need to tackle these fears, because as an online entrepreneur, I've got certain goals that I want to reach, and so I have, massive actions that I need to take. And if I'm not confronting these fears, then I'm not going to, put these actions together, and I'm not going to get the results that I want. So really, there's this fear or these beliefs that we have, these irrational feelings and objectifying, negative self-talk to put these barriers in front of ourselves. This fear is really affecting our thoughts and, really giving us negative self-talk, which can feed back into the fear and then into negative self-talk and back into the fear. Almost go round and round and round. But this fear and these negative thoughts, these are affecting our actions, which then, of course, are going to affect our results. So if we've got a lot of fear, a lot of negative self-talk and thoughts, which are, in this cycle of self-sabotage, leading to very poor actions, or even absolutely no action, if, this fear and this self-talk gets louder and louder and louder, which is then going to affect the results that we get. So the fear affects the result. So for me, yes, like I said, one of my fears was actually getting started with a YouTube channel, putting out content, talking about things like this, things that I've learnt since I've really awakened from myself over the past couple of years. And for me, it was very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And I procrastinated for a long, long time about starting to put things onto YouTube. And this is just really all because of irrational fear. So yeah, we've got the fear, we've got the thoughts affecting the actions and affecting the result. So let's talk a little bit about how we can deal with this fear over here, the thumb. One of the most important things for me has been actually understanding what result I want to get, but also why I want the result, and what that result is really going to give me in my life. So, I give a couple of examples here. One is, developing my online business. The results I want here are, I want a certain financial result, okay? And if you think about, at the moment, for me, I'm also on a health and well-being kick, trying to lose a certain amount of weight. So I'm trying to lose 15 kilos. So there's another goal for me there in my weight loss. But that's not really my goal. So I was 110 kilos. I want to get down to 95. I'm sure I'll go further than that. But being 95 kilos is not really my target. That's just a measurable target. Something to show that I'm reaching the kind of goals that I want. The actual goal for me is to be, more healthy, have more energy, which I'm already starting to get. For me, a lot of meditation I do in the mornings and in the evenings. I've been finding it quite difficult to sit in a cross-legged position because of my weight. That's a massive thing for me. So the goal isn't really to be 95 kilos, it's to have all these benefits around it. And in terms of, my online business, that certain financial result that I'm looking to get, that's not really what I want. What good is that money to me? Doesn't do me any good sat in my bank account somewhere. The whole point of getting to that point, in terms of that financial result, is for me to be able to continue to live the lifestyle that I have, which is one of time freedom, one where I'm able to help people themselves get started online, have the time to start to build my own online coaching business, which I want to do next year, and to continue with my recovery and my charity work that I do with people with drug and alcohol addiction. This is what I want. That financial result is just a tool to get there. So in overcoming fear, one of the main things to start off thinking about is actually, what are you trying to achieve and why are you trying to achieve it? Because that's going to help to drive you forward. That's a must. Without that kind of vision, these fears and this negative self-talk, we're never going to overcome them. So that's oh yes, I think one quote I forgot to mention was, I've got on my board over here. So yeah, what's the opposite of fear? Well, that's really courage, isn't it? And courage, it's not the absence of fear, but it's rather the realization that there's something more important than the fear. And that's a quote by someone called Ambrose Redmoon. And I really like that because, again, it's really hitting home this point that I'm trying to make is, your mission, it's got to be bigger than the fear. It has to be. Otherwise, we're not going to overcome it. I mean, let's go and look at the fear itself over here on the thumb, opposite to the results. I mean, so we've talked a little bit about where fear comes from, but I mean, a little bit more depth here. What really is this fear? I mean, we're taking our past experiences and we're putting them into a future space, and we're trying to find some kind of certainty in uncertainty. In this thing we call the future, which is just a concept in our minds. It doesn't exist. The future is just another present moment following this present moment. Yeah, we only have this present moment. And another way of overcoming fear is really to start to think about coming back into the present moment, the actions that we can do now, enjoying the actions that we do now. Anyone who hasn't read something like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I'd recommend highly that you look at that book. I mean, this really helps with any fears and anxieties that you have. Being in the present moment is the only real way to effectively live our lives. If you wanted to go a bit more hardcore, maybe look at some Alan Watts videos on YouTube. I do like a bit of Alan Watts, so yeah, take a look at that. Another thing for me is, looking at this self-talk that we have, starting to really reframe and look at the language that we use. So, for instance, all of these things that come up, these obstacles, if you like, obstacles that come up within our path to get to where we want to be. We get to them. So, for instance, my example here, getting out on YouTube, putting content out here, being confident, worrying about being judged, thinking, well, I'm not an expert. How can I talk about these things? Well, everyone has to start somewhere. And for me, there is no real obstacle. I mean, what is it? It's not a thing, is it? It's not a thing. We objectify things by conjuring up these ideas in our minds. It's self-talk. It's just language. But I'm creating almost like a physical obstacle. What if that obstacle was actually not an obstacle, but an opportunity? An opportunity to become a better person. An opportunity to become the kind of person that you need to be to get the results that you want to get. This obstacle, this opportunity, it is the path to get to where you want to be. Yeah, there's no way around these things. We go through it because it's an opportunity. It's not something in your way. It's an opportunity to grow and to learn. I mean, an example there for me would be, aside to, we talked about weight loss and online business for me. One thing that I've really realized recently is, I have a son who's 15 years old, and, for many, many years, I've been trying to mold him and shape him and pull him and push him in a certain direction, wanting to mold him into someone that's, I guess, kind of like me, and realised that this really doesn't work. And it wasn't until I read a book called The Conscious Parent, which, really made me think about my parenting skills and what I'm doing with my son. It actually made me realise that, when he becomes challenging, as 15-year-old boys can be, I've always seen this as kind of like an obstacle to get him to where he needs to be. Well, it's not. It's actually an opportunity for me to learn to be a better person and a better parent by reacting differently to the way that he shows up. So that for me has been a real eye-opener. I would recommend that as well. I can't remember who wrote that. I'll put it in the comments below. But yeah, The Conscious Parent, what a fantastic book that is. You know, I mean, for me, again, one of my fears coming out on camera, this fear of judgment. What's the worst that could really happen? Someone could put a negative comment and say, "Ooh, you don't know what you're talking about," blah, blah, blah. Hey, I've had this already. I've had it before. That's someone's opinion. They own that. That's just, it's not a problem for me. And, you know, these obstacles or, you know, these things that we need to get over to get to where we want, these opportunities, should I say, are they a bad thing? You know, when you look back to, you know, these issues that you might have had in your life before, things that you've overcome, haven't they made you stronger? You know, haven't you learnt from this? Hasn't it made you a better person? You know, there's nothing really that we've been through that's been difficult that you would say has made you a worse person. It always makes us better. I mean, I would even say that, you know, the alcoholism that I just fell into over years and years and years of this progressive illness, I feel blessed that I've actually had that, because to come out of the other side of that, I've learnt so much. I've grown so much as a person, and I'm able to now give back my experiences to other people. So look at these opportunities, these obstacles or opportunities in life as a real chance to grow as a person. This is one way that we can really start to think about, you know, overcoming these fears. So yeah, let's go back to the hand. So yeah, the fears, the thoughts affecting the actions, affecting our results. So we talked about fear there. What about the thoughts and the negative self-talk that we have? You know, one thing that has come up in a few conversations recently with people is people have been talking about, you know, becoming really, really motivated by maybe going on YouTube and looking at certain videos or reading certain books and talking to certain people. They get incredibly motivated and they think, yes, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to crush it in my online business. I'm going to be able to lose, you know, 20 kilos or whatever it is. And then they kind of wake up the next day and they realize they're just back to square one again with this procrastination, this negative self-talk, coming back into fears again. Because negative motivation or inspiration, it's not action. You know, unless we get into action, we're not actually going to get anywhere in terms of results. Yeah. When you have all this motivation, that's someone else talking. You're listening to someone else. And you're taking it all in, But then when you go back to your own negative self-talk, which is, you know, programmed within your subconscious, you're just back into the fear again. And you're procrastinating. You're not really doing the actions that you need. Or maybe you're not doing any actions at all. You're not getting the results that you want. So, you know, be very, very aware that just by listening to things, by becoming motivated, it doesn't mean that you're going to carry on with the actions. You've really got to deal with this negative self-talk. You've really got to, like I say, you know, start changing your language. Stop using words like obstacle and look at these things as opportunities, for instance. Until you start doing a bit of neuro-linguistic programming, for instance, which I'll make a separate video about. Unless you're doing these kind of things, you're just going to be falling back into negative self-talk and fears, and away we go, and you're not going to get here. So, yep, I guess hopefully I've taken you through just a few short steps there to maybe dealing with a bit of your own negative self-talk to help you get into better actions, and then hopefully get the kind of results that you want. I mean, let's leave you with this. I mean, if you're looking for a certain result in your life, whatever it is, work, relationships, health, how different are you really to that person the person that you are now to that person with the results. If you take away the result, who are you? You're just you. Stop being attached to a certain result and be committed to overcoming the fear, dealing with your negative self-talk, doing lots of action. It doesn't have to be perfect action. It can be massive, imperfect action. Fail forward, keep going, keep plugging away. That's going to get us to where we want to be. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. If you like this video, please click on like below. You want to see more content, you can subscribe. And yep, I'm posting these videos every Thursday and Sunday if you want some more of my mindset series. Speak to you all soon. Bye now.